go back to Design View, let me show you how quick and easy it is to put all that style back using CSS. Let's first redefine the style for our table tag. So remember, we want the tag selector, and we can either type it in or use the pull-down list. Now in the box settings, let's go ahead and set a width. We want it 700 pixels wide. Let's put back the padding, 10 pixels of padding. And we had the border set to 0. Let's make sure there's really no border by setting border to none. Click OK. Now we have the table almost back the way it was. We still need to center it, so just double click, open it back up. By now you should know that center trick. Right and left margins set to auto. And there we have our table centered. Now this text here was a nice big yellow text color, but all of this text is already formatted with P tags, so there's no reason to apply font face and font color and strong and all that when we could simply redefine the paragraph tag. Because my cursor was already inserted into text that's surrounded by a P tag, Dreamweaver's already assuming I want to redefine that tag. So I can simply click OK. Now let's set the type to Arial. Let's set the size to large. If we want it to be bold, we can set the weight to bold. And if we want a yellow color, we can even lift the yellow off his shirt. Click OK, and look at that. Instantly, all of that text is styled. And we see another problem. There are hard returns in here. Using the break tag, there's some forced line breaks here. That's problematic because you never know for sure if your visitor is going to use a bigger text size when they view this page. So let's get rid of those break tags by just deleting them and let this flow within the table cell. Now let's redefine our table data cells so we get a little padding in here. The TD, remember that's the TD cell. And again, if you're ever not sure, you can always check in the tag inspector. Let's set padding to 10. That'll give us a little breathing room around our images and text. And it also ensures that these still line up with each other because they're exactly 10 pixels from the side of the table data cell. Finally, we know that these are already formatted with the H2 tag. So if we wanted to change the color of those, we could easily just redefine the H2 tag. And if the goal is to make them red, maybe we'll lift the color out of his shirt. And now we have red. You can still override this if you know that that's H2. Oh, and I still have a font tag there. Let's go ahead and remove that. If you know that you have H2 twice on the page, we could use an ID around one of these table cells and then define a more specific H2 setting. But for this very simple page, since this is all that's here, I'm just going to change this to an H3, and then I'm going to redefine the H3 tag. And let's give it a nice yellow color. Let's maybe bump the size up a bit. Apply that, see how it looks. We still want it to be Arial. That looks pretty good. Okay. So it's not a perfect page. It's not the most accessible page. It's not the most flexible page. But at least now it's a much more streamlined page and a page that's much easier to update. And if you preview this in a browser, you'll see that it looks almost exactly the same as it did before. I have a couple other legacy problems here. Some more break tags I want to remove, just to clean up the way that displays. So let's come back here. Make sure there are no break tags there. If you can't see them, again, remember you can always use Code View to find things like extra break tags. And as soon as I delete it there, it'll be gone from here. And if I'm not sure if there's a break tag, I can take them out. Save, preview, And I'd say our chocolate game is pretty much ready to roll out now. This page will not only download faster, it'll be a lot easier to make updates to it in the future. But ultimately, I still recommend that you redesign pages like this using CSS instead of tables, and you reserve the use of tables for tabular data, like we saw in Robin's order page. And that concludes our lesson on tables and the chocolate game. I hope you've learned a little bit about combining tables with CSS, and I hope I've refreshed your memory about the details of the lessons of the chocolate game. From now on, you should be better prepared to at least update your tables with styles and create tables with tabular data that are accessible to browsers that read web pages. In the next lesson, we'll play around with a few family photos and explore how to create another old-school design with HTML frames. Until then, don't let the chocolate hit the floor. And thanks for playing.